Welcome to the Rat Chat, a podcast hosted by Cassandra, Corbin, Afton, and Ross. Thank you for joining us in the sewers, and welcome to the Rat Pack.
I feel like Ross is the best at starting the podcast. I don't know.
I agree.
I'm just good at
Welcome
questions.
back.
That's all. Sorry.
Welcome back. This is episode 2 of our lovely Rat Chat. And while, brainstorming for episodes, we sort of had this epiphany to talk about ghost stories and bring on our lovely, lovely friend and YouTuber, Amadis. Do you want to explain your YouTube channel and what you do and whatnot before we get started?
I plan for my YouTube channel to be kind of just like a creative outlet for myself, so then I can kind of wear myself out mentally so I'm not overthinking at night and I'll stay up. And I also want it to be like a safe space for like myself and other people where they feel comfortable enough to like talk about things that aren't talked about enough.
Well, that sounds so sweet. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, me too.
Sounds lovely.
When do you think your first video is going to go up?
I want to do it by January, like mid-January, but I don't know how it's going to go down because I don't know when I'm moving back over there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll be your number one fan. Teehee.
I feel like Amadis is getting like the real experience because when we uploaded the first episode, I edited out the awkward pauses. And now that we're recording, Amadis is like seeing all of this. We start talking and then we just stop.
And then you go off topic. You start talking about random things.
These are like the struggles we go through. Like, it's not even a joke.
It's so hard. I don't know. We'll get back into the groove sooner or later,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of pauses, and I'm sorry for that.
Okay,
No,
so
good.
I don't have any. Like, not that I've never experienced any, like, paranormal type things.
not paranormal, but you can like talk about like ghosts, or you
Yeah,
saw something
maybe
that looks
like
like
a
a
family
ghost.
member who's experienced something.
I have 3 stories, and I'm ready.
I think
Oh.
I have 3, and then 2 of them have videos.
Ooh,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can even
Oh,
show
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Oh my
Corbin should
God.
go first.
Yeah, because he's all prepared, you know?
Yep.
I know, he
even
was
have it in
ready
my
for
head.
this.
I was, and I was about to spoil it a lot.
I
Well.
know, yeah. See, you gotta go first. Get it out of
Oh yeah,
your
weren't you
system.
saving one for this?
Yeah, I saved 3 because they were really bad in my house. Anyways,
I'm in the
so
dark right now. I'm like freaked out already.
which
Okay,
one
sorry.
do you want to hear that's interesting? Which one do you want to hear?
I feel like you should go from like the lesser ones to the more ones, like least to highest.
Around October, I woke up like around 12 a.m. and I was very dehydrated and my throat was really dry. And so I heard noises and stuff and I didn't know what it was. And we didn't have like any dogs in like, that certain area of like where this noises were coming from. And so I got up, grabbed my cup from my desk, and I was walking down to the kitchen. And all of a sudden, I just see this black shadowy figure run across from my living room to the kitchen. I fell and like I literally fell, and I was like really like I don't know how to say it, like scared. Like I was so like frozen, and I just like I was crawling back, and it was so bad because like I never get scared from like seeing that stuff because I saw it once, but oh my goodness, it was really scary for me.
That's terrifying. Was it like late at night?
It was it was really dark too. Like the living room was like dark, and I don't know
Ooh.
how I saw it, but I saw like
That's scary.
an even darker figure. Like that was bad.
Was
That's
it like
scary.
where was it running across? Like the
From
I'm like trying to picture your house.
okay, you know my couch area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It ran from the couch to like the kitchen like wall. Like the hallway has like
yeah.
Ooh.
yeah, so Afton went in my house and stuff and
I'll
she
make a
saw
little
that.
illustration.
Yeah. And it was really scary. And I just, I actually realized I have 4, and I was saving. I'm gonna save I'm gonna save the 4th one for last because it means something and it was scary. But next story. So I was talking to Cassandra and Afton, and I was talking about how I feel like my house is haunted and stuff. My dad told me a story how this family who was, the dad was a worker of like a pool technique, so he built a pool in like my backyard, and it had a spa, but it was bricked up. And so my father was talking about the story, and he told me the son went to the pool and drowned. No one else was there. The father or the mother was not there. And so the boy drowned at age 2.
That's so sad. I remember you telling me that one before.
Yeah.
And it was really sad. And I don't know if it was really haunted or not, but it was one of like the scary stories I heard of. And it was just sad, you know?
Hmm.
I hope it's not real.
I told my mom about like, is it like real if that's true or not? And she's like, you know what? I don't know if it's really true. And I was like, so you did hear it? And she was like, yeah, but I don't know if it's true. I'm like, then it's true.
Did they tell her when you were buying the house?
My grandma heard it.
Oh, okay.
And my grandma told my parents.
I trust in Mima Corbin's intuition.
This is the second last story. So when my sister was living here and I was a little like kid, my sister and her friend did an Ouija board. How fun, right?
Oh, great.
And so
Geeky.
they met a little boy who was a little spirit named Andrew. And they didn't know what to do, but there was a lot of activity going on. Like the lights would flicker and the light and like random stuff would fall. And so when they played the Ouija board, my mother did not know until my sister told her, and my mom grabbed the Ouija board and burned it. But ever since she burned it, and this was true because my mom told me the story how she burned it. After she burned it, no activity has been happening. But when I was in the call with Afton and Cassandra again, I said, "Can if like the spirit that was with my sister like was like there," and I said the name Andrew, "Can you knock on the wall?" And you hear like the slightest like knocking sound. It was so scary, but I think Andrew like watches me and protects me. I feel like it's like a spirit that's like being really nice to me.
Yeah.
I remember that. We were on a call and you're like saying knock, knock, and then Cassie was like freaked out.
Yeah,
It was
and
so
then
scary.
and then it actually happened. Like the knocking, you like both of you heard it. I was like, did
I
you hear
think
that?
I heard it. I can't really remember, but yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the
Whoa.
scary
I
ones.
feel like it's both like scary and comforting because
Yeah.
if it was
Yeah.
like a bad spirit, then it would be doing things to like tantalize you and stress you out.
You'd feel like you're in danger, and good
Yeah.
thing you aren't.
Oh, my last and good story, which was really scary for me. And if you look it up, okay, it's really scary. So I went to my grandma's house, and my we like I slept on my grandma's like couch area, right? And I woke up from like, from not sleeping well. And so I get up jerkily and I see a shadow figure watching me. It looked like a man standing, man like 6 feet tall, like taller than me, like 6'2" or something, wearing a top hat and just
Ew.
staring.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it was so bad. Like I kept like imagining, I was like, dude, am I seeing things? I would lay down, close my eyes a little bit, and I would get up and look. It's still there, watching me. It
Ooh.
was so bad, and so
Mm-mm.
I was like, you know what? I'm really thirsty because I was really dehydrated.
Again.
You're always thirsty again.
I know. Every time, no,
Every single story you've been thirsty, Corbin.
They're gonna bring you a glass of water next time.
Ooh, yes, please. Anyways,
What?
so
Oh.
I was like, you know what? I'm just probably seeing things. So I grabbed the cup, went to my grandma's kitchen, and I went back down to sit down on the couch, watch some TV, and the figure was gone. It was really bad. And when I turned off the TV, it was still gone. Like I would like think like, oh, maybe if I turn off the TV, it'll still be there. Nope.
Hmm.
It was gone.
You came
But
for them toes.
Uh-uh. But if you look up like a shadow figure with a top hat, it means someone that's gonna die in your family.
Oh.
Oh.
And here comes the scary part. When I looked that up,
Uh-oh.
I kind of got really scared. When I looked that up, and like a couple months later, I heard that my great grandma's sister died.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I was
Did
like,
you tell your family about it before?
Yeah.
I told my mom and I told my grandma, like, this is like the scariest stuff, like this happened to me and everything else and blah blah blah. And they're like, maybe it's just your grandpa, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, if you look it up, it even said like one of your family members would die.
That's
And they're like,
concerning.
and they're like,
Yeah.
it's just life, Corbin. It's nothing bad. And I was like, dude, I saw it. It saw me. It killed one of our family members. Why are you gonna say it's life? But ever since like that happened, I haven't seen that figure ever again at my grandma's house. Like it was like the one
was
time
at your
thing.
grandma's house?
Yes, that's the worst. I was freaking out because I didn't know if it was like my great grandma that would die. I thought it was my grandma gonna die.
Yeah.
But it was my great grandma's sister, which I was really upset, but I didn't know her that much. You know what I mean? But it scared me to the point where I had to like drink water again.
Yeah,
I'm too thirsty.
Wow,
I was
that's
like,
really scary.
I was
I
so
think a cup of water will help.
I was so clueless and I was so scared. Like I didn't know what to do when like
Oh my god.
when my great grandma's sister passed away. It was so sad, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like my 4 ghost stories. And if you want to look it up, type in shadowy figure with a top hat and read it like the description. That
I've heard of that, but I've heard of it like when you're dreaming. So if you see it when you're
Oh,
dreaming,
yeah.
it's like a sign, you know what I mean? Just like when you see
but I
spiders or like
saw it.
Yeah.
But I saw it like without a dream. I
Yeah.
saw it with my like eyes open, parched for water.
parched eyes.
My parched mouth. But yeah, if I had to like pick one of the scariest, ghost stories I'm talked about right now, it would be the one I just said. Like that was like one of the ones that like really scared me and changed my life.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
a question for you,
What's that?
Corbin. How have these paranormal events affected you today?
To be honest, I haven't seen any like shadowy figures ever since. I would always be afraid like I'll see one in like my doorway watching me again, or I would hear like a random sound, which I had, but I just ignored it because I thought it was rats. It was a knocking on my wall again, and I thought,
said open up.
I thought it was Andrew, and I was like, oh hey Andrew, like But other than that, I think it still scares me to the point if I see that figure one more time, I would literally just start crying. I would call you, any of you, and say, I need to talk to someone real quick. Like
That's like
I would
traumatizing.
Well,
I know, yeah.
it's so scary.
I was traumatized. It was like a threat. It was like a death threat. I'm sorry. It was scary. Like I didn't like it. Like if I ever see that thing again, I would be more scared because I don't know who would die next. I don't know if it'll be someone from my dad's side or my mom's side or like any other friend. It meant like family member, but I don't know if it's just only family members
or people you consider family.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I swear, if I ever see that figure one more time, I need to like, I will be having a panic attack. Like that really traumatized me. Ever since I saw that, it was so scary. Anyways, can I pick who goes next?
Yeah.
Afton.
But before we move on, I just want to talk about actually being in your house because I remember the one time I ever went to your house was when you had your birthday party thing, right?
Oh
and
yeah.
then I had gone there early, and you had actually talked to me about your sister's thing.
Yeah.
But it was like after the fact that I had told you, hey, like I don't like your hallway, and I was like telling you I don't like your hallway, and then I didn't like Caden's room. I was like, I don't like his room. I don't like the vibes from his room. And you were like,
Yeah,
oh, weird shit happens in his room all the time. And then you were
Oh
like
my gosh.
telling me about all this
Ooh.
stuff. And I just really hate the energy there. And, like, I hated being there. So I was always in your room, or we would go outside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
If
Yeah, like
the
I just
hallway is so scary when it's daylight, the hallway's always dark for no
That's
reason.
freaky.
All the
That's
Your
doors.
hallway's
like
skinny
it's
too.
heavy. Like the air just
Mhm.
there too.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Like it's dense. It's just like I don't know.
It's
I don't like
cold.
it.
It's always
Yeah, it's
cold in the hallway
cold. It's
too.
cold.
But your
And you
mom
can
does always have
feel
the air conditioner on high.
no, but
No,
you
no,
can
no, no, no,
feel
no,
the
no.
temperature changes. Like
Yeah.
You would
I
feel
don't
like
know.
you'll be in your room for a while, and then when you go to like my hallway, it'll be like
it's just
different.
cold. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah,
a
I get what
weird
you mean.
like a weird vibe, like you don't like
Yeah.
a shady vibe. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
And if you go to like my my brother's room, oh my god, it's not even like funny.
His room freaks me out.
It's
Yeah,
so
for no reason too, because
yeah.
there's nothing going on in there. It's just the energy from like radiating off the room. Like
Yeah.
it's just
And I'm
so
not
bad. I
saying
don't know why.
my brother's room is like, trashy or like scary or anything, but it gives off like
Like, yeah, I get what you mean.
feelings that you don't like.
Mhm.
And I think this house is really old. Like I can't even explain how old it is. It's like really old. But other than that, who am I pick? Oh, I can pick, huh?
Yeah, you can pick, I guess. Unless somebody wants to go first or after.
I actually want to hear Ross's.
You picked on me, but then you forgot.
No,
I know,
I just didn't.
earlier.
I was like,
I just didn't want to. I just didn't
I was
want to
like,
pick
yes.
you. Just pick you. I want to hear Ross because I already heard yours.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Retro.
Okay.
okay. If that's fine with everyone, I have a couple, pretty much like anyone else. I guess. Oh yeah. So let's start. My stepdad, who raised me and then passed away a few years ago, his mom died when he was younger as well. But I didn't learn about his mom until I was probably like 8 or 9. But my dad was in my life since I was like 1 years old, basically. And my mom had told me a few years ago that when I was little, I would talk to my grandma, Jeanette, in my sleep, which was really weird. But she said that she had caught me a few times in my bed, like just kind of muttering. And then she would like ask me, like, who was I talking to? And then I'd be like, oh, I was talking to Grandma Jeanette. So that's really interesting and scary, but it's not a story I can really expand on because I don't remember any of it, and I was like 3 or 4 at the time. Um, but other than that, that's like my earliest paranormal memory. Um, but most of what I do remember is like at the place I just moved out of. So the place I just moved out of, it's been there for a good while. It's a house in pretty rough shape, and so some of my family members grew up in that house. Um, but what's sad about it is that there was a family death on the property, like quite a while before I was born. But I did, learn about it a little while after we were living there. Um, Sorry, I like can't think. um, so right off the bat, like when you're in that house, it's very dense energy. Like what Amadis and Corbin were saying about like the hallway and Caden's room and his parents' room. It's very much the same situation. Um, it's just it's really just intense when you are in that home. It's very heavy. um and like my room and the laundry room were the absolute worst. Like you just felt like you were sinking. Oh, I sound like really shaky. It's because I did not eat. So
Go get a
that
little
was
snack.
Go eat. I know.
Yeah, go get a
Oh.
snack.
That made me so
We're
sad
all
when
like,
you said
wait,
that.
wait.
Dude. When you were
Go get a
talking,
bar.
I
I
felt
got the
something
chills, and I
touching
don't
my
want to be
neck.
like.
Me too. No. I got the chills too, and I felt something touching my neck.
I don't
That's
like being like,
interesting.
guys, I got the chills, but like I did.
I
I
did.
don't want to be all dramatic,
I know. No,
But-
like,
but my legs are chilly.
but when you were when you were talking about like the weird rooms, all of a sudden I just like got a vibe of like I looked back to my chair and I imagined someone watching me. And then all of a sudden I just felt like a brush on my back and oh god.
Henry was caressing you.
Henry,
Or what's
you
his
mean
name?
Andrew.
Oh, Andrew was
Andrew.
caressing you.
Yeah. Talking about these situations definitely does make you hyper aware of your surroundings. But as far as like personally, my earliest encounter with anything paranormal in that house, besides, just those really heavy feelings, were as an act of defiance and as, a 10-year-old having unsupervised internet access, with my first phone. I thought it would be a great, fabulous idea to go digging on the internet and look up like satanic rituals. Which I don't buy into the idea that all Satanism is evil, because it isn't, but I think some facets of that ideology or religion can be, and I think there were evil acts done in the name of that religion. So I think that's kind of what I stumbled upon, and I don't remember much, but I do remember watching this video on some shady website, and I was laying down, and my legs started falling asleep, and I thought that was weird. So I started wiggling, like, my legs and like moving my feet around. But my legs just got like really, really cold, and like they just felt really fuzzy, and I could literally feel it creeping up my body. Like it was so strange and like just awful. So I panicked and I ran outside, and this is like in the middle of the day. I'm home alone with my little sister. Um, because it was summer and my mom was working. So I just bolted outside into the backyard, and I just kind of sat there like, what the heck? And I could not step inside without just having the most awful, like, shaky and like nauseous feeling. So I stayed outside until like 6 o'clock p.m. when my mom got home, and I felt safe enough to be like, okay, she's here. I can step inside now. But that affected my sleeping long term for sure. Um, like, I very much so struggled to sleep at night because, like, I felt like something was watching me, or like I felt like I could hear something, or like it was looming over me. But eventually, as time went on, I got over it. But like this, yeah, that really affected my sleep and everything, and like it gave me issues with school and whatnot, because I would like pull all nighters like regularly. I'm just I'm like a little kid, but I'm pulling all nighters. But eventually, yeah, so it got better, and then I ended up changing rooms to what was, my most recent room. It had previously served as an office space, and it's pretty small. It was like slightly lower than the rest of the house, but in my opinion, that room felt so much worse. I was in there alone. I had, the back door in there. I felt so unsafe. So my sleep in there was worse. But we're gonna like just sort of way in the future. This is after my dad died. So this story is a little touchy, and it could have been a manifestation of my own anxiety, but I don't think it was. So, 8th grade, my dad died. And that January, I like, I was just, I was still dealing with it. But I'd started sleeping in my room again. I just kind of slept in the living room to watch TV at night to like distract myself. from what was going on and like dealing with that loss and grief. So I went back into my room. I was getting ready to sleep. It was really late. I feel like it was like 1 a.m. and I felt like hands on me, like real like hands like wrapping around my body as I've like my back like facing the rest of my room, and I'm like kind of crouched towards like facing the inside against the wall, and I felt these hands wrap around me, and like, oh my god, it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. Like my heart just it dropped and I didn't know what to do. But I eventually just kind of ran out of my room and sat in the hallway until I felt it was an appropriate time to come to my mother and be like, hey, I just felt something touch me. And eventually I did in like a crying panic, and she was like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Why are you freaking out? I was like, something touched me. Something touched me in my room. I can't sleep in there. So, yeah, I stopped sleeping there for a few months. And then I tried again, and then I did not sleep in my room, not a single time once since. Like, literally up until we moved out. That's why I refused to sleep in my room, because I had felt something touch me in there. But what's really, really interesting to me that, like, confirms this wasn't a manifestation of my anxiety was my mom called a medium, and I've like usually been pretty skeptic of the psychic industry and mediums, just because like I know that they can use clues to like predict something that's going on in your life, and then like give you these vague inferences about like what's going on, and then they'll like totally rip you off. So I was like, all right, you're seeing a medium. I'm not going to say anything on the matter, but I have my doubts. So, first of all, she did it over the phone, and she did it anonymously. So, she only gave the medium her first name and her phone number, and she didn't tell him what's going on, and like why she had contacted him. But he got things pretty on the nose. So he had said that we like just faced a really major loss, and we were dealing with a lot of grief, and it was something that we weren't expecting. And the person who died kind of young, which was pretty true. Like it's kind of my dad. He wasn't the youngest, but it's shocking for a parent to die at this age. Um, so that was freaky. Then the medium had this very specific like visual of stuff, just lots and lots of things. So the fun thing about my room was I had a closet in there that I couldn't use because it was literally packed to the brim with my dad's things, like just his hockey gear, shirts, like just all of his little knickknacks, like just completely stuffed into that closet. Um, so it was really freaky that the medium was like, there is just this huge heaping pile of things, and that's drawing a lot of energy to it. And like, when if that stays in there, it's not gonna go away. Like, that is a lot of just really, it's a lot of concentrated energy in one pile. And we were like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, how would he know that? How would he know that we have a huge pile of my dead dad's things in my room? But he also said, and this was really strange to me, that the person we had lost was trying to like contact us, and that whatchamacallit, and that he couldn't get through to my mom, so he wanted to get through me. And so like I was the one to like feel something, or like experience something going on. And with this, and the scariest thing he said was that he mentioned our birthdays, and he said like the person who was coming through said, don't forget about me, and made my birthday and his birthday significant. And me and my dad shared a birthday. We had the exact same birthday. And that was always like a funny big thing. Like, what a funny coincidence in our family. So I was, contacted by something, be it my dad or not, I don't know. But it is really crazy that this medium who, knew nothing about us, predicted that and, like, saw some of the stuff that was going on. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there were a few little things that happened in the house, like throughout the years, that were really strange or weird, but like nothing I could say for sure was like paranormal activity or not. So yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Oh my
I
gosh.
that made me really sad. I almost like shed a tear, or I almost cried, to be honest.
I know,
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah.
it's pretty sad.
My
But
whole body has like, I think it's just cold in here, but my whole body's like cold. Like,
I'm not
Like
trying to be.
goosebumps?
Yeah.
not goosebumps, but my legs are like kind of
Like jittery?
chilly.
Yeah.
A little, yeah.
To be honest, when you were talking, I randomly felt like an icy cold touch on my like elbow. It was so like, I'm not trying to be like, oh my god, but like
If
Yeah,
Corbin
was...
just leaves, we all know where he went. He's gone.
Oh shit, my phone. But other than that, it's really sad to hear your story, Ross. And that's really like surprising and like shocking to hear what like the medium says and
Yeah.
stuff about like
Yeah.
your father and how like your birthday's similar to him, how he like guessed your birthday and how he guessed his birthday, and then it was just it was surprising. It was like,
Yeah, it was
you know,
pretty crazy.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it is interesting to me that like the stuff that happened in the house, I feel like was very connected to familial death, be it on the property or not. Like, that definitely played a role in things that went on there.
It's so touching and like moving, because imagine how much energy, like how much love he had for you, that he was able to like pass through and touch you. Like that takes a lot
Yeah.
of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why for me, like it made me a little emotional, because that just shows you how much like he really cared, like he loved you. Like
Yeah.
he really loved you.
Yeah,
And
like
he
generally speaking, I considered myself like a skeptic of like any of these things for a long time, but that entire series of events, like there's no real way to describe it. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't be a skeptic.
Ross, like, how did your mom feel? Like, if, like, when the medium told her that he tried to contact her,
It
like,
was
try to get through to her.
that whole day because we had like my mom specifically had like made a day out of that phone call. And I think she did it more like just to see, if like what I had experienced was real. But she was very much so like she was shocked, but she was like, it makes sense because again, she had told me when I was little that I was like talking to my dead grandmother, his mom, and like she said that like I have always been more like aware to that thing, if that makes sense. Like some people just sense things stronger than others do, and she said yeah, it makes sense, and she was just kind of like, yeah, it's really crazy, and it was kind of an emotional day. Yeah, I mean,
I was
of
gonna say,
course.
were you guys like very emotional, like crying type of way?
Yeah, we weren't like, like we weren't exacerbated, like we weren't like just like
You guys were
enveloped
just
in like grief, but yeah, we were
yeah.
emotional.
Okay. Well, you can pick our next victim. You can pick Cassie or Afton or Amadis.
Cassie, do you have any stories?
I think, well, to be honest, I don't know. Like, I believe in this kind of stuff, like, like ghosts and spirits and all that. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've ever had, like, an encounter. Like, I always hear, like, people in my family, like, being like, oh, like, my house is haunted, or like I've experienced or I've seen things like orbs or whatever. But I
Yeah.
don't think. Oh,
Then you
what
should
happened?
talk about the story about like which family members saw it then.
Oh, okay.
Talk about what was that story about something killing one of your family members' goats or something?
Oh my god.
Wasn't it?
The
Wait, we were
That one's my
talking about.
favorite. Yeah.
Weren't we
the
talking about like the urban legend about like the
the chupacabra.
yeah.
Oh my god.
You want me to tell that? Does that one fit?
Yes.
I
Does
Of
that
course
guess.
it
fit?
fits.
I mean,
It's
I
my
Yes.
favorite one.
it's a demonic.
Okay.
It's a
An oldie but a
demonic
goodie.
figure, so it's gonna be a good one.
But my mom used to live in a house in Fontana, and like um they used to have rabbits in the back, and um one night, or yeah, like I guess like one morning they all found them, like all of them were dead with like a little hole in their, I think it was like their necks or like their body, like they're obviously like, you know, punctured, like they died. But my grandpa was like, you know, it's the chupacabra. Like that's it. That's what it is. And he spent literal like day and night. I don't know for how long. If it was like 2 days, or if it was quite some time, but he was like set on like finding him, and like, he was gonna catch him. So he would like sit down. My mom said he like sat down on like the backyard, and he had his shotgun ready to like shoot it down, but like he never found it. And also, like, my mom says she remembers like him calling it into like the news and trying to report it. And I still try to find the like little news interview, but I just can't. I gotta keep digging. But once I find it, I'll show you guys because I find it so funny. But yeah, that's it.
He was on the news?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Such a crazy event. Like, my grandpa of all people, is out there trying to hunt down his rabbit killer with the shotgun.
My
I
grandpa
bet you
found
he found it and then the government like tracked him down and took it.
And then they brainwashed
They
him.
said you better not
SCP.
say anything. Yeah.
Like, what is
SCP.
it? Men in Black?
Like Men in
type
Black.
Yeah,
thing?
literally.
When they had the pen and then they wipe your memory.
That's what happened.
Cassie, who do you want to pick, Afton or Amadis?
I'll go Afton because she kept slipping from
I know.
everybody's grasp.
Oh.
I know.
I feel like I'm in class and the teacher called on me.
I know, like, we're pulling
And you weren't
popsicle
paying
sticks, and then
attention.
she forgets.
Oh my
Because
god.
Corbin called on me, but then he picked again. So I was like,
No, because I
know.
picked Ross. I was like, we already know your story.
Oh.
while you were talking, Corbin, I remembered like a couple more, and they all
Ooh.
happened in my house.
Like to add to when Corbin, when you were talking about how thirsty you were on all of your stories, I want to point out that I've heard that spirits are actually like more attracted to like water, like having a glass
yeah.
out like near you, like in your like near your bed or whatever.
Oh,
So that
Wait,
might be a
really?
thing. Yeah.
So wait, they
Yeah.
just make me very dehydrated.
it drains you dry.
I know. What the
The
I
water
need to
is like
survive.
it's like a medium. It's just a way
Yeah.
to get to you. It's not necessarily like they dehydrated
Yeah.
you, but yeah.
They
Makes
sucked you
sense
dry.
though. Like it
That's
makes
why-
sense. I always wake up from me being dehydrated. It's really weird.
Well, maybe you didn't drink enough water, but
yeah, that might
that could
be-
also
Yeah, but the
Uh.
lack of sleep I never I never got, and like never drink any water. Like I would always wake up all the time. But when I drink water and I feel good and I've been like all of that, like okay, when I was taking care of like, myself, when I realized about stuff, I drank a lot of water and I like, backed down some crappy food and whatever. And so I was being healthy. And I woke up like at 3 a.m. The weirdest time too, and I was dehydrated.
That's the devil's hour.
That is the
Yeah,
devil's hour.
that's true.
Oh my god.
Do you guys
Anyways.
feel anything weird when you go to my house? Because I think everyone's been
Yes.
there.
All the
Really?
time.
I
All
yeah.
the time, and I literally I
Really?
dislike.
Because I know you
yeah,
sleep over a lot.
I really dislike when I think the safest room in your house
It's her
has
room.
to be
It's
your room. It has to
yeah,
be your
her
I
room.
knew it.
agree.
Because, like, okay, the kitchen, it's fine, right? It's just the kitchen. Like, every
Mhm.
once in a while, it's just like kind of
Oh
heavy
yeah,
in
can I
there,
tell
but
you
not
something?
really.
The
Yeah.
kitchen, you know how there's that like china cabinet right by my kitchen because we knocked out the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
So the china cabinet has
Oh.
like lights built in. So when you
Uh-huh.
tap it, it's like a touch sensor. So you tap it and then the lights turn on for
Uh-huh.
the glass display window. And like when all this stuff was happening, those lights always turned on at night. So when we woke up, the lights were on. And like you can
Ooh.
only turn it on by tapping it. And it's so freaky.
That's
Mm-mm.
scary.
Wait, really?
Yeah. That
Your
china cabinet with
house?
all the mugs on.
You're
House has
kidding.
weird energy. I haven't been there enough to say it's like inherently bad or good. It's very strange.
I feel like it has
I
to.
know,
I
yeah.
feel like it has to be a family thing,
Mhm.
because when like the energy isn't like a, it's not negative in any way. Like, because or else I wouldn't go over to your house. I'm not kidding. Like, I would be like, no,
Because my dad's
no, I'm not
friend is
going.
really like into that stuff, and he said our house has like warm energy, like it's
Yeah.
inviting, it's homey.
I feel like there's something there, not necessarily that something bad happened, but something happened there that's significant. Like, you can feel it
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in you when you're in there. Like, the air is like, it's heavy in there. It's just sometimes I feel like it's hard to breathe in there, and then that's why I'll just stay at the door. And then like it's just, I don't know what it is, but sometimes it just really wears me out for no reason. Like, I'll just go in there and come out and I'll be like, oh, like I'll feel sick. But
No
it's not,
more.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like Amadis, like you and me, are similar in a sense that like we can walk into a house and if it's too much, we just can't be
Yeah,
there.
we can't go
And
in
like
there.
we're kind
Yeah.
of sensitive. Not like that we're like psychics, but we're sensitive to
I'm like
the energy a
oblivious.
house has.
It's always little things that happen in my house. Like it's nothing like huge, dramatic. Like I never seen anything. But one thing, I was like it was like a couple years ago, and it was like in my room, like above my ceiling, like above my bed. I would hear this ticking noise,
It's
and it
the
was
rats.
no, it was like a clock, and it was like always there when I was going to bed, and I heard it, and it was like on and off, like ticking. I always went to sleep to it, but like I always heard it, and one night it just stopped, and that was it. There's like nothing, no like interesting thing to it, but it was just kind of freaky because I always heard the ticking noise when I was going to sleep, and I was always wondering where it was, and I thought it was my fan, so I always used to turn off my fan. But the noise kind of like moved around the room, like around my ceiling and then above my bed and stuff. I never figured out what it was, but that's it.
Maybe, like, I'm not trying to be like rude or anything, but we have rat situations in my house.
I don't think I have rats.
But no. But you
Sorry,
can though.
Afton.
Like
Sorry to be the
rats.
one to
No,
tell you.
it didn't sound
Check
like
it
a rat.
out.
It sounded like a clock floating.
Clock ticking is very specific because it's almost
Yeah.
like a switch.
Corbin's like, it wasn't, but maybe it was
No,
a
it's the
raccoon in your
rats. It's the
wall.
rats clicking their tongues, Afton. Please
I know
get
the
it
rats'
checked
little
out.
stopwatches.
The rats actually brought a grandfather clock into your walls, and that's why.
I feel
You
like it
can't
wasn't an
stop
animal
them.
though. You know, because it was like it moved around, like it floated around the room, kind of, and it was consistent to where
Yeah.
it was like it sounded like a clock, but it got slower and faster. But I was like curious about the clock ticking noise because I felt like Ross said, it's a really specific noise to be hearing, and then it's weird for it to be, moving around the room in such a weird and specific way. So I looked it up, and there was like surprisingly a lot of people had the same experience with it, and I thought that was interesting. It's also like some kind of medical condition, so maybe that's the explanation for it. But also it was so weird because I read one story of someone that had used the sound to communicate, and a lot of people think that the sound is someone trying to communicate with you. So I was trying to sleep one night and I heard the ticking noise, and it was so loud, and it was just annoying me. So I like rolled over and I was like, please, please stop. Just this night, I'm so tired. And then it had slowed down and then stopped. So I feel like I don't know what that noise was because I thought it was my fan, but I had turned my fan off for a while and it was still there. And there's no attic around my room. I don't have any clocks in my room, so I don't know what it was. But it went on for like a year, I think. Like I heard that noise for a year and then it finally disappeared once all the paranormal stuff in my house, me and my family just addressed it. We went in the kitchen and we all held hands and we were like, okay, like whoever's here and is doing all this stuff, please, like, we love you, but leave. And that was the end of it, I think. Besides the doll, of course. But this doll, so I was in a thrift store in LA and I had come across this doll. It was like on a shelf. It was like really beat up and old looking, and it was like $1, I think, maybe $2. And I was like, this is like really creepy, like I had recently like seen stories about haunted dolls and stuff, and I was like, I felt like drawn to the doll, so I bought it, and then I brought it home and nothing happened for like a week. I think this has happened recently because I got the doll like a long time ago. But recently, like after I've had it for a while, it's been moving around on the shelf I put it on. It'll like fall over sometimes and I'll hear it fall. And so I'll go and prop it back up and then it'll fall over again, or it'll like move around the shelf onto different spaces on the shelf, like in front of different books and stuff. But that's everything I've experienced with it. Like nothing like scary has happened except for that. So I don't know if it's the doll or if it's like, because there's a lot of earthquakes here. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's my dog running into the cabinet. I don't know. But that is kind of weird. And it hasn't happened recently, ever since I've fixed the doll's leg. So I think it's all cool now. All of the things I've experienced have been in my house. I don't think, besides my grandma's old house, I was really freaked out by her old house. Something about it, because I spent like a lot of time over there, even though it was really far from my house, because my grandma hadn't lived close at the time. I had always came over and visited her, and something was always weird in that house. Like I always felt like something was watching me, especially in my grandpa's old rooms, which had a lot of his old stuff in it, like his cars and stuff. So I thought that was really, kind of freaky, but I never saw anything. For the stuff that happened in my house, I think it's always like family related stuff because it doesn't feel like creepy. I just kind of notice that stuff happens. Obviously, I was sitting at the kitchen table and I was just eating. I think I was eating, or I might have been doing homework. And it wasn't windy outside or anything, so I don't think anything could have been moving it. But our fireplace doors were like kind of, it looked like someone was pulling them open and then like pushing it closed. And that went on for like 30 seconds. So I took out my phone camera because I had it right next to me and I started recording it. And it didn't stop once I pulled out my phone. So I thought, that's weird because like you hear all these stories about people experiencing paranormal stuff, but they never get it on camera. So I thought that was kind of freaky, but I also feel like maybe there was an explanation for it. But then another thing that happened in the same area of my house, in our kitchen, we have like, blinds on the windows, and they were shut one day, and I was like coming into the kitchen and I saw it looked like someone had their hand on it and they were like running their hand like up and down the window blinds, and then they were also like shaking like it was windy or something. But I had my phone out and I was taking a video, and you can see the windows are shut, so there was no wind coming in the room, and then also the fan was off. So I never figured out what that was.
That sounds.
Ew, I don't like that.
I don't know,
Is
I don't
it
have any
Amadis'
questions.
turn?
Amadis
Oh,
is like
it
the
is my
last person,
turn.
so your turn, girly.
I'm excited.
Okay. The wait. So I remember one time we dropped off Olivia, and it was like the first time that I ever, like, I think that we ever like drove, and like we were at the same place for so long, and then my dad was wearing like his Bigfoot slippers. I don't know if you remember, and he was like petting
Yes.
them outside of his car window as he drove down the road. And then I remember dropping you off, but your house, it wasn't scary, But it was like, you know, in movies where you see like that house on top of the hill and it just gives off like these weird, like
Yeah.
mysterious vibes. That's what your house felt like. And then for me, I mean, I've had some weird stuff happen, but for us, I guess it wouldn't be seen as something out of the ordinary. It's like, oh, yeah, that happens, you know? Um, and I think the earliest thing that I can remember was when we were living in the house that I grew up in here in LA for a while, and then um I used to my mom would like put me to bed, and it would be she'd knock out, and then all of a sudden like there would be a little girl, and then she would come in my room like every other like night sometimes, and then she'd ask me about my day and whatnot, and I never really talked about it because I thought it was like oh, it's just like my imaginary friend or whatever. But then I think it came up when we went to go visit an old friend over there, and then it turns out that a little girl actually got run over right in front of the house. And then I think they either live there or in the house behind there, so I don't really know. But like the way they described her is exactly the way I saw her every night. That she'd come in and ask me how my day was and if I was okay. And then like at times where I was like upset, she would like be there and be very comforting, and she was just really warm. But yeah, that's like the first thing ever that happened to me that isn't necessarily normal, I guess. Um and then in pretty much in every house that I've lived in, I've always had like little things happen to me. Like I'll hear usually I encounter a lot of children. I don't know why that is, and it's kind of scary sometimes. But it's usually like I'll get my books thrown off of my shelves sometimes, or I'll get my windows opened and closed. I'll get my doors open and closed. I'll hear running down the halls, laughing. Um, I think one time that's like a recent time, and I think it's the last time that I've ever experienced anything recently, as of recently. But it was like the second house, so the second to last house that I was living in before we moved back over here, and I was doing my hair in the morning because I have to get up early in the morning, shower, you know, dry it, whatever. And I had all my products laid out. And then, um, like in that house, I would always hear running up and down the halls and laughing. And then we had a rocking chair that would turn into a bed. And then I'd always hear it rock. Like it was just rocking. And then you'd hear like little footsteps everywhere, and it was just I hated being there. I hated being there. But that day I was doing my hair, whatever. And I was trying to be so quiet, and then I heard laughing, like loud laughing, and I was like, I'm gonna go check to see if it was my sister or whatever. And then I looked out, and there was nothing there except for the chair rocking. It was just rocking back and forth, back and forth. And I was like, not again. So then I go into the bathroom and I close the door to make sure I'm quiet and like nobody can hear me. And then all of a sudden, all of my products, like they're slowly getting pushed off the counter. And I'm like, bro, can you just like not do that? Like it's not the time. And then I hear laughing, and then all of my products fall off of the counter. Like they get thrown. Like if somebody hit them, like hit them with their whole arm, and like they scattered everywhere. And I was livid. I was like, bro, you need to get out. And then my door opened, like the bathroom door opened, and then I heard like footsteps like walk out, like leave. Like I think that was like the most real like thing that I've actually interacted with, like something that I've come across it from or whatever. Yeah, that was really weird. I thought that was really weird because it didn't even hit me until afterward, and I was like, "Oh, like that's not that's not fun." But yeah, a lot of things happen in that house. Like my grandma, she actually fell in that house because she has really bad arthritis and hip problems. And one day, out of nowhere, she said that she felt somebody grab her ankle and she fell. And then they had to take her to the hospital to make sure she didn't break any bones because she has osteoporosis. But it was scary. Like, things would happen that you wouldn't think would happen. Like, sometimes you would lose things and then, like, they wouldn't show up for like a few days and then all of a sudden it'd show up in the front door or something like that. Or um, another thing that happened during Christmas that me and my dad like freaked out about it for a while was we were coming home from school one day and then we were hanging out on the porch with our dog, and then all of a sudden in the vents right next to the door, like the front door, all of a sudden you just hear Christmas music like a music box, and it's like slowly turning and turning and turning, and I forgot what the song was, but it was like we were like, "Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from?" So we look in there and there's nothing in there. Like we opened the vent, like, and there was nothing in there, and we checked inside because it was still going. Like the music was still going, and we were like, "Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from?" And to this day, we don't know what it was. We do not know what it was. But like things like that would always happen. Like it was just like that's cool. Like that happened again, and then we went on with our day. You know.
Your
Oh my,
stories
that is
really
so
made me.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
know. Like I feel terrified.
Mine, I thought mine was worse, but yours is like a whole other level.
Like,
Like,
and I think to this day, I think some of like the houses, I think I had something in my possession that it was the same spirit for a while because it was just so how is this like comfortable with like messing with me. It was so
Yeah.
comfortable with being there
Mhm.
and doing all these things, and I was like, okay, like, so I don't know what it was, but this is kind of crazy, but somebody robbed us and then
oh,
I think they
Oh.
stole something with the energy that was connecting the spirit, like linking them to me. So I don't have
Huh.
it anymore, so
Probably
it's
like
not there
putting them
anymore.
through it now.
mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah,
like,
I hope
right
you better give me
so.
now.
back.
I have a question.
Hmm.
So, whenever like you feel lonely, do you ever like feel comfort when like you feel like that little girl was there? Like when you hear like the laugh or something, do you feel comfort or you feel like scared?
It depend. It depends on what house I was in. So with the little girl, I felt huge amounts of comfort because, at the time I was really lonely, and my mom was
Why the hell is it always
away
kids
from
that made us feel
home.
comfort? Like, I swear.
Yeah, my mom was always like working, to do what she had to do. And then it was just sometimes it would just be like my grandma, like me and Emily. But yeah, it's like that was comforting. But I think the one where all my stuff got thrown off the counter, that was a completely different like spirit, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, or
Yeah.
an entity or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
this was like very very interesting about everyone's different ghost stories. I mean, like Cassie's is like different from our
Cassie's
from
is my favorite.
Cassie is about the chupacabra.
Yeah.
I just love
But
how he stayed like out there for literal days, like slept
I can picture
outside.
it too. That's what's so funny.
Yeah, like it
you just
makes
hear
sense.
you just hear snoring outside and you're like, oh my god, it's the chupacabra. No, it's your grandpa.
I know.
But if I had to pick my favorite ghost story that I heard, it would be Amadis.
Yeah, me too. Ross's made me emotional and like
Yeah, me
Mhm.
too.
Amadis's made me like feel like all twitchy and weird.
Fear.
Like it's freaked
Mm-hmm.
me out.
I mean, I don't see it as scary just because it happens so often. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
don't
Yeah.
know. Things like that would happen where I'd get my stuff thrown and I'd see like a little kid peering out of my closet every like other night or whatever. But
Oh,
Jeez.
as we say our stories now, I'm ready to see something when I go to bed. Like I'm prepared.
I'm not.
I know.
I
Catch
am
me have my
not.
first encounter. Oh
Dude,
no!
oh
I'm
my
Feel the
ready.
cold
god.
up.
Get my first encounter with the top hat man. Oh my
Nope.
god.
I
I've heard
won't.
so much good things.
No.
We're
Oh my
so
god.
happy
You're
to
tall.
see you. I'm ready to
No,
hear.
thank you.
Okay, I was reading about him, and now I in my mind I'm like gonna think about him, and that's
Well,
like
But okay.
Don't attract
sorry.
that
About
energy.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
but
you
right
are
now
harping on
there's
something and you're constantly thinking about something,
It's gonna happen.
then that
it's
you're
gonna
bringing that
happen.
energy towards you.
Mhm.
It's like you're asking it to come over. You're like, figure in a hat, come over. Let's
But
eat dinner together.
You really said pick me, and
but
I
the
don't think
only
you want
way
to be
he
Pick
picked,
me.
Corbin.
Choose me.
the only reason why he appears is for negative emotions, but it's been positive.
You're a
So
pretty negative person.
excuse me.
Stop.
You really want me to be negative right now to meet him again?
I'm just saying.
But
Uh-uh.
other than that, this was our episode 2. We're really happy that you get to hear our stories, like emotional.
This one was so much easier than
Yeah.
the first one.
Because
Yup.
we
I
had
swear
this.
that one was so hard to record.
No,
I
but
feel like because
listen,
you
we
didn't
had
have
this
any
plan.
like a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had this plan too. We were just like, you know what, we got to do a ghost story one, and we're like, sure, and we just did it.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Thank
yeah.
you, Amadis.
Oh yeah, thank
I
you for our
know.
special
Yes.
guest, Amadis.
Wait,
And
plug
Oh
in
my
your stuff.
god.
Plug in your stuff.
Plug
Oh.
yourself.
Go follow me at http://AMADIS on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah,
She has it all.
do it.
Anyways, we'll put
Maybe
it in
Facebook. I don't know.
We'll put the
You know
link
me.
in our description below. So
We'll be
you
checking if you actually follow.
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh yeah. Check.
and check out my Depop too, which will also be in the link tree
And Lily's boats.
on my both of my businesses, my family businesses. And they'll be in my link tree in my Instagram bio.
Alrighty.
Yes.
On a count of 3, we all say goodbye. Ready?
That's so sad.
I know.
We're never gonna make another episode.
I won't be back for like a
Yes,
year.
you will.
This
Yes,
is,
you
this
will.
is the last. I
The
disappear
comeback.
off the face of the
I'll be back.
Bye, world.
Bye, y'all. Okay, on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Bye.